You're listening to a Rev FM production podcast. Enjoy the best moments from the podcast that discuss things of the Bible and current events for people who love to laugh. This is Pastors Live with Pastors Dave, Ty, Shane, and someone else.
Hey everybody, it's Pastors Live. It's Taco Tuesday. It's a wonderful Tuesday. It's I hope you're enjoying your Tuesday. Hey guys, are you enjoying your Tuesday?
Yeah, I'm having fish tacos tonight.
Oh, fish tacos. There you go.
My wife
That's
is
right.
making tilapia fish tacos.
There you go.
Buddy.
All right.
So I'm having a great day.
Okay, so Dave's enjoying his Tuesday. Shane's enjoying his. He's off.
Is it time to go home yet?
Yes.
Close.
Is it time?
Fish tacos.
Steve, are you enjoying your Tuesday?
You're the goat.
I am.
You're the goat. Oh, and Gary, how about yourself?
Yeah,
Wow.
great.
So
great Tuesday.
So we were talking about in 2022 the most overused word was gaslighting.
You're right.
And in 2023 the most overused word was goat.
Now, do
And
people
that's
know that goat means greatest of
all
all
time.
Not goat, like a goat.
Yeah, not that guy. Yeah, not that. Yeah.
Speaking of goats, you know that the Stoddards are they're throwing kids left and right.
yeah.
They are.
They
Their
are.
kidding season started.
Yep.
And it came
If
a
you
little
guys
early
don't,
for them.
and by the way, if you don't know, throwing kids, that's goats are having goats. That's
Yes.
what that is. That's
Yeah,
not
we're not
throwing
kidding
children.
about that.
We're not throwing
we're not
kids.
kidding about it. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. Yeah, we're not kidding
We're not
around.
throwing children.
Yeah, it's like we're not throwing
did you ever
children.
wear kids' tennis shoes? Oh no, those were kids. Never mind.
Yes. Oh, hey, what
They
were
were the
your
goat.
Hey, wait.
Yeah.
There's a question we've never asked before. Growing up, favorite kind of sneaker.
Oh,
what was your
boy.
favorite sneaker growing up?
Oh.
So what was it?
In my generation, we didn't have much choice. I mean, it was Converse All Stars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My mom and dad raised 4 boys, and Dad would take us down to the Shoe Terrier outlet. It was an outlet store, and so there'd be little blemishes or whatever, and that's how Mom and Dad kept their boys in tennis shoes. But it was all about Converse All Stars. Everybody wore Converse All.
Right.
The big question was, are you going to get black or white? That was it.
And Puma was pretty popular then too.
Yeah.
We wore baseball
Not when
shoes.
I was a kid. We
Baseball
never heard
shoes,
of Puma.
Puma.
There you go.
And Nike.
Yep. No, when I was a kid, it was Rawlings cleats.
Yeah, Rawlings too. Rawlings was
Yeah.
big back then.
Remember, I grew up in the 60s
huge.
and 70s.
Yeah.
So Adidas
in the
came
70s.
along and Nike came much later. Puma
Rawlings was the big brand.
Rawlings
then,
was
yeah.
the big
And Spalding.
brand. Ooh, Good man, Steve.
Wow.
You were born in 1990,
Goat.
right?
Right here.
The goat.
When were you born? 1990?
70. 90? Yeah, sure.
Sure. Okay, so, yeah, but by the time you
95.
came along, there was Adidas, there was Nike, there was Puma, and all that
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, that was later in the 80s, I guess.
Mizuno, pardon me,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, yeah, they were good.
Yep, but yeah, not when I was a kid, man. It was Converse. And then for cleats, it was Rawlings. And then Spalding. Yeah, Spalding was one. How about you, Gary? What was your favorite tennis shoe? Or
Well, my favorite or the most popular were the Air Jordans. They had just come out.
You are a kid.
when I was like in junior high. So probably the same with Ty there. But my parents refused to buy me a pair of Air Jordans. They were over $100, and so my parents were like, "No way,
Wow.
no way." So
Right.
my favorite, not my favorite, but Skechers from Payless Shoe Source.
there you go. Yeah.
Yeah, those were my shoes.
Remember, Steve, I've got a pair of Skechers right now. I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
The most comfortable shoe. And here's why I've never owned a pair of Skechers. I bought a pair because of Clayton Kershaw.
Yeah, you were telling me about that.
Yeah.
They made cleats for him.
Right. Yeah. The
I
people
wish
that,
I could get a pair of
the
those.
people that were making his cleats, there was some political stuff going back and forth, and a trainer for the Dodgers asked Kershaw, said, "What about Skechers?" And he says, "Well, they don't make cleats." And he goes, "I know them. Let me make a phone call." And lo and behold, Skechers came out. They, you know how they do for professional pitchers. I mean, they do the whole thing with their feet and measure their feet and the shape and all this other stuff, the width and the breadth and the height and the depth. And then, they said, "What's your cleat pattern? What's your favorite cleat pattern?" He says, "Well, I have 2." And so he showed Skechers his favorite cleat pattern, and they made cleats just for Kershaw. And he said in an interview, most comfortable cleat he's ever
I bet.
worn. And he's trying to get Skechers now. Hey, make cleats. I'll be the face of Skechers, man. So they're still not doing it yet, but who knows? Maybe next year they'll come out.
Are they going to be slip-ons?
No, well, I don't know. Bro.
Maybe it could be.
Just a lot of Skechers.
I'll buy a pair if they come out with them.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I'll
get on the mountain again.
Support it.
I'd love to get on the mountain again.
What was your favorite tennis shoe growing up there, Pastor Ty?
Well, it wasn't a tennis shoe actually. I spent most of my young life either in bare feet or in the plastic beach flip-flops you get at Newport Beach to keep your feet from burning on the asphalt.
Yep.
That was my
back then when we were kids. They were like 59 cents.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, they were less than $1.
Oh yeah.
And if you because they'd also break pretty easy. I mean,
that's right. That's why they were less than $1.
Yeah. Well, I'd break them at the beach a lot of times. I'd end up with 2 pair because I'd end up getting my foot deep in the sand and then pull up, and the bottom would pop out. My dad had to put it back together. You can only do that so many times with those little plastic not cleats. I'm sorry, flip. I was thinking those would have been interesting to have cleats on them. You could run on the beach better. But yes, but that was interesting. But the greatest of all time. The goat thing got overused this last year. And you know what? There's always a word every year that gets a little overused, becomes super popular. We'll see what happens in 2024. But listen.
Well, Rev Radio's the goat, isn't it?
And we just burning the place to the ground today.
Good.
So, by the way, what is a word that you keep hearing people use that you are like, or a phrase that you're like, okay, we need to finish that. That needs to be done, right? So Pastors Live at the Rev.fm. Let us know. Listeners, we want to hear from you. What's a word or a phrase that we're like, okay, I'm done hearing it. Everybody's using it. It's got to go. Let us know what your goat is. Or what's getting your goat. Sorry, that's what I meant to say.
Oh, what word is getting your goat?
Yes, what word is getting your goat?
Nicely played.
Yes, thank you.
Well played.
At Pastors Live at the Rev.fm. Also, you can follow along on our readings at watersprings.net with our daily Bible readings. And if you have comments or questions, send them to Pastors Live at the Rev.fm. And we've got a couple comments that came in. It's so Happy New Year. Well, Happy New Year to you. Listening while on these here treacherous, thankful for spell check roads. Pastors Live has brought a few laughs and much comfort. Thank you all. That's from Harrison from Springdale, Arkansas.
Cool.
Springdale, Arkansas.
And Harrison, you said?
Harrison, yes.
Nice. Harrison, what did Jesus say in the Garden of Gethsemane to Malchus, the high priest servant? Happy New Year.
Oh man, that joke is the goat. Oh, so that's
irregardless.
Come on.
Just stop,
dude.
That's 2024.
That's like a stomach punch.
Oh yeah. All right.
Oh.
All right, so Caleb and I the other day we were watching this.
Caleb is your son.
Caleb's my son, and we were watching the show the other day, and of course we were trying to keep it down in the house, so we had the subtitles on, so it didn't have to be really loud, and I'm watching it, and I didn't realize how many times they started a sentence with regardless. They never used irregardless, but they used regardless in this 28-minute show. I think I lost track at 12.
Oh my goodness!
And I'm like, what screenwriter or writer's not catching that they're using this word over and over again? And so somebody uses that word. It was a writer uses. I get caught in that. My sons when I'm writing a script or something, they go, "Hey, that's a phrase you use. Nobody else uses it. No one else. Dad, no one else talks like that. It's stupid. Stop."
My wife says evidently a lot. And I realized, we were talking about it like about a year ago, and I realized...
Isn't it evidentially?
Oh, my mother-in-law used to say evidently. Well, evidently this. Well, evidently that.
Oh.
Right, yeah. What service are you going to on Sunday, honey? Well, evidently I'm going to second service now because this, that, or the other. And so it was like, she says evidently quite a bit. Yeah.
Is it evidentially? Or is it evidently?
It's evidently.
Is it evidently? Oh, okay.
Evidentially, you'll say it correctly.
Okay, I'll own that one.
Shane's not here, so can we say ambulance?
We can say ambulance.
Ambulance.
And linoleum.
Shane says ambulance.
Yeah.
Yes.
I love Shane.
I
miss him.
Yeah.
Come back, Shane.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, we're halfway through the program, but Shane's not here today. But we've got Dave's here today.
Hi, guys.
Steve's here today. Gary's here. I'm here today.
Hey, Pastor.
Present.
The voice.
present and accounted for. And by the way, we have one more thing. We have one more comment that came in.
Okay.
And this one's important. So pastors have talked a bunch about getting cameras in the studio for a vidcast of pastors live.
It's hard. You know that I see words.
Oh, yeah.
I don't see things.
Yeah.
I don't see cameras. I see the word camera.
Right.
So when you stumble over a word like that, my brain hurts.
That's right. Yeah. I hear
Podcast.
Yeah.
What?
Yes.
That's why I don't listen to our certain politicians' speeches.
So Pastors Live. Yeah, so we're actually working on studio setups now to say, how do we do that? We don't have enough room in this room. We looked at camera throws and we looked at some things for in here. We just don't have the space in this particular studio, so we have to move into another studio space.
Yeah.
So we're looking at that. And then curious if you guys think that will actually happen. And that's actually yes, because they're actually working on that actively right now, getting together costs and things like that.
So evidently it'll happen.
Eventually. That's the combination.
You're thinking eventually.
Eventually, I'm putting the two words, ultimately, I'm putting two words together. That's the GOAT, Dave.
Camera.
There are also talk of Pastors Live hats and shirts. Yeah, the Making Radio Great Again hats. And now we're all just staring at Gary, just with a question mark. Oh, you're feeling it
I was
right
going to
now?
neglect to put that response in the program,
but you had to put it in there. Okay.
So
just look at you.
Here's what I want to know from our listeners. If we had MRGA hats, MRGA, MRGA.
Making Radio Great Again.
Right? Would you purchase those hats? Would you wear them and tell your friends about Pastors Live and the Rev FM? I want to know.
Yeah.
Let us know
Yeah,
at
let
Pastors
us
Live
know.
at the Rev.fm.
Yeah, let us know.
If there's a good enough response, we'll put Steve in charge of getting those hats made. Right, Steve?
Sure.
All right, good. That's
Because you're a man of few words.
because apparently
right.
Gary can't do it.
Way to go, Gary.
Yep.
Wait, maybe we should put Carrie in charge of it because Carrie gets everything done.
Yes, she does, and she gave me a support pickle.
True. Yes, she did.
She gave me an emotional support
If she
pickle.
can knit that pickle, she can knit these hats.
Oh yeah, they're going to be knit.
I guess that would be Sylvia.
That'd be Sylvia.
Had to go
yeah.
to my wife.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, that would be funny. Emotional support knit caps.
Yeah.
So just put it on. It protects your hat. Protects your head. Yes. Okay. All right. We need to move on here, guys.
Evidently, it's 2024.
Oh my goodness. Yes, it is 2024. Hey, we do
Did you
appreciate
finish
our
reading the
listeners.
question? Huh? Was that all of it?
It says, there's the last part. Are those available yet?
Oh.
Yeah, that would be no.
Okay.
That would be no. We've established that in our conversation that the Making Radio Great Again hats do not exist yet. They are not a figment of our imagination. They are designed in our minds. So
Yeah, the R has got to be the Rev Radio R.
Oh, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah. 100%.
That'd be cool. Yeah.
By the way, just for the record, I'm a hat guy. If that hat is made, I'm wearing that hat, 100%.
Awesome.
So there's one.
Me too. Yeah, there's one. Two.
Okay, two.
I'll wear it.
There you go.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know how far down that road I want to go yet.
Steve,
it
would you
depends
wear
if
a
it
MRGA
fits me
hat?
well. It depends if it fits me well.
Ooh, can we get fitted? Ooh, 7 3/8, folks.
So,
If there's somebody out there listening right now, and you're like, I'll make that hat for you, and you want to send one to Dave as kind of a sampler, a proto, whatever. 7 3/8 is a Dave head.
Okay. All right. That's important to know. So, guys, hey, listen, Bible readings. Let's get to it
Yes,
today.
let's get to something important.
Let's get to something important today. We have some wonderful Bible readings today.
Well, we were singing one of them before the mics went hot.
We were,
Yep.
But Genesis 17,
baby.
Genesis 17 is important. Genesis 17 goes with Genesis. It goes with Genesis, all of Genesis, but Genesis 12 is
We
the
are
first
evangelicals.
promise, right? Yeah, it's exactly. So the first promise of the covenant is in Genesis 3, and then we see it again in Genesis 12, and where God says, "I'm going to bless all the nations through you, Abraham," and then we see in Genesis 15, we see the covenant made by God. And then in Genesis 17, we see the sign of that covenant But you do understand that it was before, he believed God. In Genesis 15, he believed God. It was accounted to him for righteousness. Right. And then you get to Genesis 17, and now there is a sign of the covenant.
Yep.
And it's an everlasting covenant in the flesh. It's a circumcision. And in this chapter, 12 times, God says, I will make, I will multiply, I will make, I will make, I will establish, I will give, I will be, I will bless her, speaking of his wife, I will establish, I will make, I will establish. This is God doing the work, and he's saying, hey, here's what I want. I want you to have this sign in your flesh of circumcision that says, I've made a covenant with you. And we often, in the New Testament, we often talk about baptism kind of in the same context, is that God has done all the work. And that's really what you see here. God has done all the work, but there's a sign in the flesh because God has done all the work. You're not doing circumcision in this case to get the promise.
No way.
You've been given the promise, Abraham. Therefore, now I want you to respond to that promise. When we talk about baptism, kind of goes the same way. Baptism is a response to God's work. God has already done the work. Now I'm going to be baptized because God has done the work. So I'm going to respond as a sign. And Paul actually talks about this of equating circumcision of the spirit of the heart in baptism with the circumcision of the flesh of the old covenant to new covenant. And so I really do appreciate that, because I think it's really important that we understand baptism is something that is not required for salvation. I want to clarify that. I hold the position you do not need to be baptized to be saved. But I do hold to this position. If you are saved, you should probably highly and strongly consider being baptized. I think you should be baptized if you're saved. It's an act of obedience. And I love, I think it was R.A. Torrey wrote a book, The Blessing of Obedience, many years ago, about responding to God and doing those things. So I would hope that you'd respond. Because remember, Abraham responded to the promise that God gave. And so God says to us, hey, I'm giving you eternal life. Would you please respond to this promise of eternal life? And so I think it's super, super important that we make those decisions and those distinctions. Absolutely. Right? Because I think people should respond to God. Dave, I was saying last week, would it be great if people just responded to the word? If people just respond to what God says and do it God's way, life would be so much easier. And by the way, not only that, but our communities would be so different.
But there it is, you guys, right? So is there circumcision in the for the Christian? Of course, there's circumcision of the heart. There's circumcision of the eyes and the ears, of the tongue. And that's why baptism is so important, right? Because what am I saying when I submit to having a fellow knucklehead believer put me under the water and pull me back up? And I'm not trying to be disrespectful of your pastors. I'm just saying we're all human beings. There's nothing special about your pastor except that your pastor is a born-again believer under the lordship of Jesus Christ, hopefully. It's supposed to be. But when I say, hey, I'm going to have my pastor or the deacons of the church or the elders, whoever it is that does the baptisms in your church, when they baptize you, you are saying, Lord, I am receiving what you've done, and I'm responding as Abraham responded to everything that you did for him. He responded by being circumcised. I'm responding by being baptized, and in so doing, Lord, I'm asking you, circumcise my heart, circumcise my tongue, circumcise my ears. In other words, cut away the flesh, Lord. I don't want to walk in carnality. I don't want to walk in the flesh. I want to walk in the Spirit. So, we have baptism coming up here. Is it the 26th and the 27th, Pastor Ty?
Yes, the end of the week of prayer and fasting.
Right.
We're looking forward to that.
So we have the week of prayer and fasting coming up here at Watersprings on the 22nd through the 28th, I believe it is. And then at the end of that week, at the Saturday evening service and the Sunday morning services at 9 a.m. and 11 a.m., we'll be having believers' baptism. And one of the reasons it's really important is because if you're sitting there right now saying, I don't know if I want to be baptized, I don't know if I want to get all wet, there you go. It rakes against your flesh. It cuts your flesh so deeply, you should do it. That's what circumcision is. I mean, it's that cutting away of the flesh, the excess flesh, cutting away the carnality spiritually, and it's just really important. So if you go to a Bible-believing, Bible-teaching church, wherever you live, if you're not close enough to attend Watersprings or a good Bible-believing church in our valley, wherever you live, like Arkansas, for instance, where that one question came from, you should be attending a local Bible-believing, Bible-teaching church. And if you're a believer in Jesus Christ, you should be baptized. There you go.
Yeah, I think you should. I mean, do you have to be?
Not to be saved.
Not to be saved.
No.
But I think out of
To be
obedience,
obedient.
I think we should.
Yeah.
I think that's something we should do. Listen, guys, we're running out of time.
Criminy.
And so, listen, you're loved, your family, and hey, we'll have something going on tomorrow too.
Absolutely.
So, hey, we'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye.
You've been listening to some of the greatest clips and moments from Pastors Live, a Rev FM production podcast previously recorded. Thank you for listening. Submit your questions and comments for other episodes of this podcast to pastorslive@therev.fm. Make sure to subscribe to Pastors Live on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, or Amazon so you don't miss the next episode drop.